shit, guys, it's happening. It's fucking happening. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
That feeling of just knowing a game is right for you when you first lay eyes on it is such a great feeling.
The thing that happens is you start to feel the excitement just build up.
I'm thinking about it all the time, even in my sleep.
Incluso a veces por una misma comunidad, te llegas a enamorar bastantísimo.
I play video games because I love stories.
Experiencing worlds that you can't experience as yourself.
I guess video games allow me to be what I can't. It's fiction, but it's not.
You come home, log onto your PC, and disappear into a different world.
I am a part of something bigger, a part of something beautiful.
As an autistic person, video games give me a place where I could be in a world that made sense to me.
I will tell you that all of my family play video games.
Me and my brothers, we would share the computer 1 hour at a time.
저는 제 와이프랑 게임을 가장 많이 해요.
I'm really enjoying playing video games with my dad, my children.
My little sister. That connection between video games, allowing us to converse with each other, added a lot to our relationship.
Games like the World of Warcraft let me meet people that I probably never would have.
I can honestly say I met some of my best friends through playing games.
We have this connection that allows us to share our joys, to share our achievements, to share our growth together.
Every time I'm able to achieve something, I'm able to make myself proud.
Killing the heroic Black Hand back in Warlords of Draenor was one of my favorite memories.
I managed to find that one hidden pylon with my one Mutalisk.
We beat hardcore Inferno Diablo.
I was able to hit gold in competitive in Overwatch.
I had someone say, oh, I can't lose to a girl. And I beat that guy.
So I was able to slay this warlock as a little gnome holy priest, freaking out and screaming the whole time.
Adrenaline through my body was going crazy.
Pela caminhada ter sido tão prazerosa e pela conquista ter vindo.
A gente se sentiu muito, caramba, a gente conseguiu algo incrível aqui.
I killed the Lich King! I killed the Lich King!
然后夺冠的时候，现场的女性工作人员，包括一些男的工作人员，他们都哭了。
Many years ago, I was doing a quest in Terracar Forest, and a lovely little mage came up and said, "Would you like a hand?" They helped me for the rest of the day. We've been married now for over a decade.
Those video games filled a void. They filled the friendships that I didn't have. There isn't a huge LGBTQIA+ community in my city. So when I was able to play a video game, I was able to start talking with people who didn't really care that I was a gay male.
But video games were my escape. When I was a teenager, my dad was diagnosed with ALS, and I looked to video games as a way to escape from that sort of reality. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm just glad video games were there for me.
I'll never stop playing video games.
There's no way.
I imagine myself one day being an 80-year-old grandpa gamer.
Playing video games has shaped me. I don't think I would be who I am today.
My passion, my interest, my excitement, they belong.
Video games opened for me the world.
And because of that, I'm forever thankful.
And I can't wait to see what the next generation holds.
Welcome to BLIZZCONLINE, a celebration of 30 years of Blizzard communities and 30 years of Blizzard games. 30 years is so many years, and last year maybe felt like one of the longest of all. But throughout the years of Blizzard Entertainment, From 1991 to today, many of us can associate certain games with milestones in our lives. Maybe you were a little kid the first time you played The Lost Vikings, or in high school when you first played a Diablo game, or maybe you met your partner while you were playing World of Warcraft. That's the awesome thing about video games.
What?
They give us experiences
guys,
that are relevant to the times in our lives and experiences that we carry forward with us. Games are here for us during good times, and they're here for us even when we feel alone or maybe uncertain. Games are coming home, familiar, comfortable, with a connection and a sense of belonging. And while many of us spent most of 2020 in our actual real-life homes, games became even more of a place to get away, to be free from outside concerns, even if just for a little while. So, this is pretty weird. Usually, when we start BlizzCon, the opening call is to my favorite Warcraft faction, the Alliance. Or my favorite faction, the Horde. I get confused. Usually, I'd be speaking to 40,000 of you in person at the Anaheim Convention Center and millions of you around the world. And usually, that would be a perfect way to celebrate. But nothing about the last year has been usual. The pandemic has been hard on everyone, and for many different reasons. But if there's one thing that the last year has taught us, it's that being apart physically doesn't stop us from moving forward. It doesn't stop us from connecting with our player friends around the world, diving in as warriors and heroes, and checking on each other as humans. It doesn't stop us from sharing our latest epic gaming story or celebrating those of others. Games continue to unite us. Now, to be honest, I wasn't sure how well Blizzard could work from home. There are thousands of people, all needing to work together in creating our universes, games, and experiences. Never has it felt more true that it takes a Blizzard to make a Blizzard game. And in 2020, it became clear that the magic of creating at Blizzard isn't just tied to a physical location. It's tied to the people who work here, and I continue to be so proud of each and every one of them. Thank you, Blizzard. We create these games and pour all of our energy and heart into them, but it is you, the Blizzard community, that brings them to life. And that's why BlizzConline is a celebration of you, the guild leaders, healers, DPS, tanks, innkeepers, Zerg, Terran, Protoss, Blackwatch, Shimada, the heroes of Sanctuary and of the Storm. These next few days are for you, our Blizzard community. For World of Warcraft, we'll be showing you what's next for both Shadowlands and Classic. I'm sure you're all burning in anticipation for that one. Hearthstone is getting back to its roots in a major way. We can't wait to show you how. We also have news for our Diablo community. Some of you were able to dip your toes into the depths of hell in the Diablo Immortal Technical Alpha. I really enjoyed seeing players embrace the multiplayer aspect of meeting in town. We can't wait for more of you to get your hands on it. So, it's only the beginning of the year, and already there is so much to look forward to, even though we can't yet be together in person. The Overwatch League will be kicking things off in spring, and we'll be watching closely to see if the San Francisco Shock can continue their championship run. World of Warcraft esports is back. with the Arena World Championship and Mythic Dungeon International already in full swing in Shadowlands. StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 esports are going strong with our friends at the ESL Pro Tour. And qualifiers are already underway for the first online stop of the 2021 Hearthstone Masters Tour, with the first event taking place next month. But before we get too far ahead, let's take a look one last time to when times were a little simpler. In the early 1990s, the internet was a baby. CD sales had finally eclipsed cassette tapes. Cassette tape, it's a rectangle piece of plastic, and there's a tape inside, and music would get recorded on, and sometimes you needed a pencil to wind it and make it tight. I know, it sounds crazy. We were all playing video games on Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, DOS, or Mac PCs. I personally was a master of config.sys and AutoExec.bat. So many simple things in simple times. If only we could relive them.
The stage is set. The green flag drops. Let the carnage begin. Holy Toledo! What a collection! Now we're talking. What a play! Crank up the volume! Unbelievable!
The Blizzard Arcade Collection, featuring the Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn. These are ports of the games just as you remember them, allowing you to relive the original experience of all three titles in 13 different languages, with a couple of quality of life upgrades. As an example, we include very modern, cutting-edge functionality that wasn't available in the early 90s, both saving and loading of games. And for those of you who purchased any Blizzard Digital Anniversary Bundle via Battle.net, you'll automatically receive the Blizzard Arcade Collection on PC today. Now, you ready to hear about some other video games? Let's hear what's next for World of Warcraft. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. No matter where you are, World of Warcraft unites us all. Whether you're exploring the Shadowlands, Classic Azeroth, or another part of the Blizzard universe, I'm glad you could make it, because we've got a lot of good stuff to show you. But first, let's start with some Covenant pride. Kyrian, take flight! Nightbay, let the hunt begin. Necrolords, to war! Vintha, let's party. The world has thrown a lot at us since the last BlizzCon, and the thing that's really kept everyone going on the WoW team has been connecting with all of you. The bonds we forge with our guilds and family and friends in WoW are powerful and real. As WoW enters its 16th year and Blizzard celebrates its 30th anniversary, We're so grateful to have the most dedicated and friendly communities in gaming. Let's recap the events in Ezra. In WoW Classic, we fought an endless battle for South Shore and Torren Mill. We banded together to open the gates of Ahn'Qiraj and joined forces to take down Kel'Thuzad in his floating citadel of Naxxramas. In Shadowlands, we helped our Covenant recover from the Anima drought, brought on by Sire Denathrius, master of the Venthyr and traitor to the Pantheon of Death. We survived the halls of Torghast and crafted legendary gear in our efforts to expel Denathrius from his castle lair. But innocent souls are still wrongfully being sent to the Maw. They face an eternity of torment, and heroes like Anduin remain chained in its depths. The jailer continues to grow in power. He's preparing to break free from the Maw and complete his plan to unmake the entire Warcraft universe. And Sylvanas, you may be wondering what she's been up to all this time. Today, we're excited to unveil our first major content update for Shadowlands, Chains of Domination.
Look around you!
What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
Enough! Join our cause, or be made to serve.
Right now, you hold all the power. Make your choice, Sylvanas Windrunner.
Despite all our efforts, the Maw continues to grow. What if Denathrius' treachery is irreparable? The Primus is lost, and Bastion cannot save the Shadowlands alone.
None of this should have happened.
Perhaps the Winter Queen could...
My Archon, a living soul seeks an audience.
A mortal?
A king. By all our measures, one who has spent his life striving for justice. One who would give anything to serve his people. One whose heart is true.
Very well. He may approach. Step forward. My Ascended have spoken of you. The king held captive in the Maw.
That prison could not hold me forever.
Why have you come to Bastion?
You have a key that I need.
You will release this soul from your grasp.
No. He is bound to me, just as you once sought to bind your own brother.
Performed its part flawlessly. 3 keys remain. Then they will see. Death was never meant to be chained.
That is so intense. I know you probably have a lot of questions about what you just saw and what it means for the next stage of your Shadowlands journey. Later today, my teammates Ian and Jeremy will be telling you more about Chains of Domination in our Shadowlands update. Please check out the World of Warcraft channel to find out more. Next, I'm excited to share our upcoming World of Warcraft charity pet program. We've heard a lot from our community about how much they love these pets and the opportunity to give to a good cause, along with ideas to make the program even better. So during this upcoming campaign, you'll be able to donate whatever amount you wish to directly support our chosen charity. Once donations reach our goal, everyone playing World of Warcraft will get a pet for their collection as a thank you, whether you were able to contribute personally or not. And to make this a fun challenge, if we reach a stretch goal, everyone gets a second pet too. And here they are. The first pet is Bananas, literally. He was originally available to a select few back in Burning Crusade era, so we're excited to give everyone a chance to adopt him. And if we reach our stretch goal, you'll also get Daisy the Sloth. She's an all-new pet who'll hang around your neck when you need a hug. Your donations during this campaign will go to support the medical humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders, also known by their French name, Médecins Sans Frontières, or MSF. They're an amazing group doing important work around the world. We're grateful to have such a generous community, and we hope you'll help support this worthy cause. We'll be sharing the details about the charity pet program on the World of Warcraft website soon. So we've talked quite a bit about Shadowlands. Classic players, now it's your turn. It's my pleasure to hand off to my teammate, Holly Longdale. She's a longtime WoW player, a veteran MMO developer, and she's going to tell us what's in store for WoW Classic.
Hi, everybody. First, I'd like to thank all of you who have ever been part of the WoW community over the years. You know, online worlds like WoW have been a huge part of our lives for decades now. As a dedicated MMO fan and a developer myself, I remember hearing that Blizzard was going to be making their own MMO. And I thought, well, I guess I'll check out that beta. And sure, we all call the game WoW, but really, wow. I could not believe I got bit by the MMO bug again. I was so excited to be able to make a Night Elf hunter and be like that famous Dark Elf ranger from the books that I loved. I have to tell you, Azeroth was, and still is, a place I love to live. Since last year, I've had the great honor to work alongside the WoW Classic team to bring these nostalgic experiences back to life for longtime fans and a whole new generation of players. As a fan myself, I've had so much fun in WoW. From the simple things like drive-by buffing or making friends on that long haul from Teldrassil to Ironforge, all the way to the absolutely staggering, like when I jumped blindly through the Dark Portal and was running through Hellfire Peninsula, heard this terrifying noise, and then saw the Fell Reaver. Biggest roamer I had ever seen, and I was very glad I had feigned death in that moment. And that's the thing about WoW. These stories and experiences we all share keep us coming back time after time. With that said, I'm super excited to be able to share with you where our adventures are taking us next.
You dare enter my realm. has brought you to this end. Take my blood and choke on it.
Death to the outsiders!
I'll turn your world upside down.
You are not prepared.
Brings back so many memories, right? Like exploring the fungal forests of Zanger Marsh, or being awestruck at the chaotic magic alive in Netherstorm, the Draenei in Exodar, the Blood Elves in Silvermoon. I love playing them both. Do you choose to enlist the Aldor or the Scryers in your quest to fight the Legion? And of course, we can't forget gathering all your friends to fight Illidan at the top of the Black Temple. I can't wait to relive it all with you. Since the team first set out on their own quest to bring the original WoW back to life, we have learned a ton about what players are expecting from this kind of experience. We've also learned when to keep things just as they were and where we all might be open to some changes. We're bringing all these lessons into Burning Crusade Classic, with our primary goal to bring back the same feeling you had when you faced the Fel Reaver for the first time, or when you were digging through piles of Felhound poop. Of course, we can't get this right without you, our incredible community. Soon, you'll be able to revisit Outland yourself when beta starts and tell us what you think. Later, all WoW Classic players are going to be presented with a meaningful choice for each one of your beloved characters. Do you want to move on into Burning Crusade Classic? Or do you want to stay in the original Classic era forever? Whatever you decide, you can do it all with your one WoW subscription. Now, I know I've thrown a lot at you, but don't worry. We'll be getting into the details in our panel later today. So stick with us. We'll make sure you are prepared. And now we're going to hear what's coming up in Hearthstone.
Greetings. We're truly excited to share with you everything that's coming to Hearthstone this year. But first, let's take a quick look back at the year of the Phoenix. We added our first new class, the Demon Hunter, and ventured into the ruthless Outlands. Then we went to Skullman's Academy and got to explore dual class cards and their powerful synergies. And with our third expansion of the year, we brought you Hearthstone's biggest update ever, alongside the menacing Old Gods in Madness at the Dark Moon Fair. We launched a brand new game mode, Duels, that saw more than 10 million matches on its first day. We also introduced our long-awaited achievement system and made a significant overhaul to the rewards and progression within the game. Now, it's time to say farewell to the Year of the Phoenix and see what's in store for Hearthstone this year. Welcome to the Year of the Griffin. Over the last couple of years, we've made big changes to Hearthstone. Throughout the Year of the Griffin, we want to keep delivering fun, new experiences and make sure that the tens of millions of you playing Hearthstone are always excited to log in. First up, we'll be giving the standard format its biggest shakeup ever, with the launch of the Core Set later this year. The Core Set replaces the old Basic and Classic sets with a collection of 235 cards made up of some of the best from throughout the years, as well as 29 awesome brand new cards. And the best thing about the Core Set is that it's entirely free. So there's never been a better time to get into Hearthstone. Here are 3 of Hearthstone's legendary dragons, reimagined to feel more up to date and competitive for modern day Hearthstone. Ysera the Dreamer. You'll finally receive her full arsenal of dream cards right away. She's a nightmare for for your opponents. Malygos the Spellweaver. He'll fill your hand with spells and is a powerful late game play, worthy of the aspect of magic. And finally, everyone's favorite black dragon, Deathwing. He's still as destructive as ever, but timed correctly, he won't leave you empty-handed. We'll also be launching a brand new format, Classic, where you can play Hearthstone as it was when it first launched. The Classic format will be fully supported, complete with ranks and rewards using Hearthstone's original set of cards. So, if you want to relive the old school experience, then Classic is the place for you. With Classic revisiting the past, now let's take a look to the future and explore the first expansion of the Year of the Griffin.
For a hero of the Horde, all roads lead to the crossroads. You have come for adventure, but the Barons wants to break you. Your axe must be sharp. Your wits must be keen. And your heart must be mighty. Strength and honor. This is who we are.
That's right, we're headed to one of Warcraft's most iconic locales, the Barrens, and we'll come face to face with the heroes that inhabit it, starting with one of the Horde's most iconic and well-known characters, a fierce loyalist, one-time war chief that embodies the honor, loyalty, and spirituality of the Horde, Shadowhunter Vol'jin. Shadowhunter Vol'jin is a neutral legendary that allows you to either bolster your own board or weaken that of your opponents. And to celebrate the announcement of Forged in the Barrens, this card is available for free for everyone later today. So log into Hearthstone and claim your free copy of Shadowhunter Vol'jin. And as a bonus, we're also giving away the brand new 30 Years of Blizzard card back. Next, we have another hero of the Horde who is making his first appearance in Hearthstone. The legendary Blade Master Samuro, featuring the new keyword Frenzy. Frenzy activates the first time a minion takes damage and survives. In Samuro's case, this can be used to clear your opponent's board. Heroes of the Horde like Samuro are famous for their combat prowess, but others, like Thrall, are known for their powerful elemental magic. Take a look at this new shaman spell, Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is a spell in a new cycle of cards that rank up and become more powerful when you have 5 and 10 mana, ensuring that they're always useful at every stage in the game. You'll also notice that they're categorized as nature spells. With Forged in the Barrens, we'll be permanently introducing spell schools across the entire game, which enables a whole host of exciting new strategies. And don't worry, members of the Alliance will be featuring some of your most beloved heroes and locales later this year. But what I love most about the Warcraft universe is its amazing characters. And our final announcement is our most ambitious addition to Hearthstone yet. It introduces a brand new way to play with your favorite heroes. Hearthstone Mercenaries. Mercenaries features strategic RPG gameplay, where you build teams consisting of some of the most iconic heroes and villains from the Warcraft universe, including timeless characters like the infamous Sylvanas Windrunner. And Ragnaros, the elemental lord of fire. You can also expect to see some of Hearthstone's fan favorites, like the unstoppable Devilsaur, King Crush, and the ever-growing Gruul the Dragon Slayer. You'll lead them in battle through highly replayable roguelike missions, where the map is randomly generated every time you play, and each node represents a unique challenge for your team to take on. Your heroes gain levels, new abilities, equipment, and can even evolve into more powerful versions of themselves. We're thrilled to finally show you Hearthstone Mercenaries. It is scheduled to launch later this year, and we'll have more to share with you down the road. Everything you've seen today is just a taste of what's coming in the Year of the Griffin. So don't forget to tune in to our deep dive panel after the opening ceremony, where we'll share more details on the core set, the new classic format, Forged in the Barrens, and our plans for Battlegrounds and Duels, as well as our upcoming single-player content. I want to thank the team for their amazing work. And on behalf of all of us at Hearthstone, we want to thank the many millions of you who play our game. Your dedication and support is what drives us to make awesome updates and pursue ambitious and fun ideas. We can't wait to kick off the Year of the Griffin with all of you, and we hope to see you in the game soon. Next up, you'll get an update on all things Diablo.
Hey everyone, thank you very much for joining us. I am so excited to kick off the Diablo segment of our show, and I am honored to be here on behalf of all of our Diablo teams to share the news and updates we have in store for you today. We've got a lot of Diablo to cover, and I hope you'll agree with me that it's a great time to be a member of this community. All right, let's kick things off with Diablo 4. We first shared our game with you during BlizzCon of 2019, and we've been truly humbled by your response. We've kept in touch through quarterly updates and sincerely appreciate the thoughts and valuable feedback you've provided as we unveil more and more of the game and share in its development. After all, Diablo belongs to you as much as it belongs to us. Most recently, we teased an update to our campfire screen, and savvy fans, of course, understood that we meant more than just the character lighting and fire visual effects. That's right. Today, we're happy to announce a brave new soul joining the barbarian, the sorcerer, and the druid on this dangerous journey back to Sanctuary. A class is one of the most exciting things you can announce in a Diablo game. This one is especially exciting to me as it's a re-envisioning of one of the first classes to ever appear in the series. Let's have a look.
Your prayers do not fall on deaf ears. Just know they are being heard. There is justice within the light, but you have to be patient. Now, pray with me. May Akarat guide and protect me.
May Akarat guide and protect me.
May he shepherd my soul
May he shepherd my soul
and grant it mercy.
And grant it mercy.
What are you doing here? This is not the time.
But this is confession. And I have sinned. I was a thief who stole from those more fortunate. I strayed from your light and found my trade in the shadows. They call it murder. I say, job well done. I am a thief, a heretic, a murderer, Father. Will Akarat save me?
You mock our light. But those monsters were a scourge upon my flock. And you were the answer to their prayers.
Then we are settled, and you owe me.
The name you seek is... Thank the heavens for you.
Heavens? I assure you, Father, the heavens didn't send me.
The sound of that ear getting pierced by the hook is so brutal. I feel like it's gonna haunt me for a long time. I've been a huge fan of the Rogue ever since the original Diablo. Even seeing them come back as NPCs and mercenaries in Diablo 2's Rogue Encampment served as a great bridge between the games. With the setting of Diablo 4 being a larger world than we've ever played in before, we're excited to show you not just what the successors to the original rogues in the series have been up to since the fall of their order, but also what some of the other rogues in the world of Sanctuary might look like. The mantra for Diablo 4 has been customization first, and the rogue takes this to a whole new level. From the beginning, the rogue has been an incredibly flexible class, able to adapt to any situation. Our goal is to let you create the kind of rogue that you want to play. Whether it's an unrivaled archer modeled after the original Sisterhood, or a cloak and dagger rogue from the darkest alleys of Chaldeum, in Diablo 4, you will have the freedom to create the rogue that you imagine by customizing the looks, the background, and the playstyle of your character. Please stick around for our segment later today, where I'll be joined by other members of the Diablo 4 team to share a closer look at the rogue class, as well as some of the open world gameplay that we're bringing to the game. Spoilers, those severed ears are not just for show. But Diablo 4 is not the only Diablo game we're talking about today. If you're looking for an authentic Diablo experience on mobile, we've got you covered. Diablo Immortal has everything you'd expect from a AAA action RPG. From the visceral combat and epic loot to an all-new story, bridging the gap between the events of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Later today, you can join the Immortal team, where they'll talk about some of the things they've learned from their recent alpha test and what's next for the game. But that's still not all. We have one last bit of very exciting Diablo news to cover. When you hear us talk about the classes, the items, or the stories of the early Diablo games, you may have picked up on the absolute reverent tone we reserve for that golden era of Diablo. Maybe you share that love of the classics, and just hearing us talk about them makes you want to take on Mephisto or Baal one more time, or maybe even for the first time.
After all, some of our favorite moments happened a long time ago, and not just in Sanctuary years. If so, we have a special surprise for you today. Let's check it out.
Now you know what I seek, Marius. Were these the demons from Don't do it! It seems but I'm not acceptable. What was it done to me?
Arise, Diablo, Lord of Terror.
Though this be our darkest hour, it may yet be your greatest moment.
After more than 20 years, the Dark Wanderer has returned. And once again, he travels east, always east. Diablo 2 is a landmark game for Blizzard. Diablo 2 Resurrected is a full HD remaster of both the original game and the expansion, Lord of Destruction. It takes the 2D sprite-based classic that we love and brings it into the present in 3D, utilizing up-to-date graphical rendering and lighting technologies. It also includes modernizing all 27 minutes of cinematics, recreated shot for shot with the explicit intention of preserving both the look and the pacing of the original movies. Blizzard has a long history of games that we're proud of. And when we think about Diablo 2, we think about it as a definitive pillar in our foundation. Now, it's funny to think that some of you weren't even born when D2 was released, which makes it all the more important that we deliver an authentic experience wherever you play. We want everyone to relive their memories or experience the game for the very first time on their platform of choice. And so we're excited to bring Diablo 2 Resurrected to PC and console, along with cross-progression. And for those of you who are in love with the original and you just wish it worked more seamlessly on modern computers, you can bring back all of that nostalgia exactly as you remember and enjoy the game in its original 2D form, much like we did with StarCraft Remastered. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. Later today, Diablo speedrunner Mr. Llama will host a roundtable with members of the development team on the dedicated Diablo channel. If you are a Diablo 2 fan, I encourage you to take a look. So, from Diablo 2 Resurrected, to Burning Crusade Classic, to the Blizzard Arcade Collection, it's a whole lot of looking back. And while we have teams dedicated to bringing these timeless experiences into your hands, it's actually a very small percentage of our developers working on these projects. Far more people are working on the future of Blizzard. And in addition to what we'll be talking about during the show, we can't wait to tell you even more about our plans over the course of this year and beyond. If you had asked us 30 years ago what gaming would look like today, none of us could have predicted the current Blizzard lineup of games. The advances in technology are one thing, but it's really what those advances have enabled that's even more incredible. If you think about the people who play games and the communities that have grown up around them, the way people can connect instantly, no matter where they are in the world, the way people are increasingly able to express their identity and celebrate who they are through their favorite games, communities, and platforms. The explosion of things like streaming, cosplay, and esports. It would have been hard to imagine any of that 30 years ago. And at Blizzard, that is what excites us about the next 30 years. There is so much that we're working on. And some of it you already know about. The rest, we look forward to talking to you about it when the time is right. Just like the real world, the worlds of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and Hearthstone are diverse, expansive, and full of potential. We are not only iterating on the experiences that you've come to expect from us, we're also exploring different ways to express our worlds and welcome more players from more places into them. And we aspire to continue to lead on priorities like accessibility and toxicity control, and to continue supporting causes that have a positive impact on the real world. We want to continue to bring those same feelings of joy and achievement that we all felt when we first defeated the Lich King, or beat Diablo on hardcore mode. Because when we geek out on those experiences with others, we can't help but see the similarities between us and feel what's possible when we play together. Of course, there are new Blizzard worlds that we haven't visited quite yet. And when we do finally unveil those games and experiences, our hope is that you will see in them what we do. That no matter who you are or where you're from, they are spaces where you can create new stories, forge new friendships, and make memories worthy of lasting a lifetime. And through it all, our mission statement of being dedicated to creating the most epic entertainment experiences ever, along with our core values, led by gameplay first, will continue to guide our way. So on behalf of everyone at Blizzard, thank you for being on this journey. For me personally, it is the honor of my professional life to serve you, and the honor of all of us at Blizzard to be the caretakers of the worlds that you play in. We are so excited for what's to come this year, next year, and the next 30 years. Now, what's coming next for the show? Well, it depends on where you watch. For those of you looking for an update on Overwatch, check out the behind-the-scenes look into the development of Overwatch 2 over on their dedicated channel right after the conclusion of opening ceremonies. There, you'll hear about Overwatch 2, new content, new features, including new maps, hero missions, talent trees, and more of what we think will make Overwatch 2 a unique gameplay experience. For World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Hearthstone, you'll get a closer look on their respective channels. And on the dedicated strategy channel, some StarCraft legends will be going head-to-head in epic competition. Once again, welcome to BlizzConline. Be good to one another. Welcome home. Before we kick things off, here's a little something from a previous BlizzCon headliner.
Hey, thanks for having us. We're Metallica. Thanks for having us at BlizzCon 2014. We would love to be there this year, but obviously can't be. So here we are, and this is for you.
Your death will. Morta Vespa Gaia Inum.
Help! Help! Strike with great vengeance! You are not prepared! Frostmourne hungers for your soul. Your time has come. Strange.
Free, free, free.
That's right. TurboTax Free Edition is free. Free, 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 free.
Now, and have been on WoW for most of that time. Avid WoW player myself, and really excited to open up that dark portal again as we all step through it.
And my name's Brian Birmingham, and I'm the lead software engineer on WoW Classic. I've also been at Blizzard for 15 years. I started on World of Warcraft. I spent about 3 years on Hearthstone as well, and then came back to the World of Warcraft team to work on WoW Classic. And it has been a great joy to me to work on this team.
There's a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
So earlier we announced, yay, Burning Crusade Classic is coming. But there's a lot more to it. Let's take a look at the features, because wow. I mean, wow, right? Wow. I was so excited by playing Draenei and Blood Elves. I played both, and I will say my heart's with Alliance. And I also took up jewel crafting on my Draenei Shaman. I wanted to corner the market. Just the whole notion of having items with sockets and just exploring that whole system. I'm also a bit of a systems nerd. So I completely lost my time for weeks in there.
The Burning Crusade, I remember being there back then. I mean, it was our first expansion ever. So all the new features was like this really cool moment of like, what's coming next, what's going to happen. And one of the things that was pretty impactful to the game was Horde having Paladins and Alliance having Shaman. I mean, as an avid PvPer myself, I remember going back and trying to fight Shaman. I was Alliance back then. And just not understanding that class at all, because my team didn't have it. So like I try to poly them and then be like grounding totem. I didn't know what that was. And it's just like, why are Shaman immune to everything? I don't understand.
That's not what you said.
Yeah, no, I did.
No, you said they're cheating.
I understood polymorph druids, but Shaman, why? Like now I started to understand Shaman a little bit better. We got some of their benefits. I actually like got to see totems being placed down on my side for once, and got to see the frustration of dealing with Bubble Hearth on the other.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing raids, we were always jealous of the Alliance having Paladins for Blessing of Salvation. Like people would be pulling aggro off me, and I'd be yelling at them like, "Wait for 3 Sunders!" And the Alliance is like, "No, it's no problem. Just go."
Yep. So hey, I mean, we were upset raiding like Razor Gore without Earthbind. I mean, really even the playing field for both PvE and PvP, which was kind of cool. But there were a ton of new features and just abilities with this too. You know, as we got to level 70 and got to experience new content and new things. I remember one of my first experiences with understanding what it meant for designed by Blizzard, right?
Oh,
Because I was an engineer, right? I wasn't a designer. I was working on like the live ops team at the time, and you know, I was playing my class, avid player of Mage, and I kept I sent this long email to Tom Chilton saying like, hey, you know, here's what Mage needs.
Dawson Manifesto.
It was a well thought out forum post. And what was in it was things like bring back invisibility, let's get a threat dump in the class. And I didn't even necessarily tie those two together, but he was like, that's a pretty good idea, let's get mages invisibility. And just knowing that skill was coming along with some other new stuff for mages like the Molten Armor, the Ice Lances, was just really cool to see all this new stuff in Burning Crusade.
Oh, on the other side of that, I was really excited about Spell Reflect because I was really frustrated getting polymorphed and being able to like reflect that back on the mage.
As a mage, I was not excited for you.
I bet you weren't. And there were even some PvE encounters that had abilities that you could reflect back. So I remember that was really fun to kind of find ways to time that and use it as a defensive ability as well.
I was a hunter.
Mm-hmm. I'm a hunter now, actually. Yeah, I've switched.
But I remember just chasing Beastmaster and just DPS.
Yep.
That was it. That was the chase, yeah.
Talking about that too makes me think of like the arenas and the arena system. That was a whole new world for us, you know, with Battlegrounds and the way they worked before. Like the way the matchmaking happened, usually I was pretty competitive in PvP, so I would either get in there and stomp the enemy team who was just there to be casual, or, you know, even though like we were a good team, we weren't like the best of the best. So when we ended up going against one of those teams, it was just like, well, geez, we're just getting stomped now. This is tough. Arenas gave everyone an opportunity to play against equal-minded opponents, right? Mm-hmm. So if you were a little bit more casual, you get the opportunity to play against people who weren't maybe so competitive. Or if you were like cutting edge, go for it. Like try to be the best of the best. And what was great about that is it really it spawned an esport. Like that wasn't, we didn't design it for that. We just wanted people to have fun. But when we noticed like, hey, everybody's playing this, everybody's like competing in this, people are watching it, we had to embrace that. We started featuring it at BlizzCons and we've been doing it every year since.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I think one of my favorite things to recollect was the exciting zones that you would travel through. One of my favorite memories was actually in the first zone, Hellfire Peninsula, and it was adventuring around in Hellfire Peninsula, going around and doing all those quests, and always living in fear of the Fell Reaper. Because you'd be out there collecting parts from like a broken Zeppelin, and you'd be fighting off your Hellbores, and then all of a sudden you'd see the screen start to shake, and like these thump, 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 and then... and you're like, oh my god, I gotta run, he's right on top of me.
Sound still haunts my dreams.
Oh, I know, yeah, it's terrifying.
Even in life, it's just feign death.
And then the payoff when you later go to Netherstone, and they give you the quest, they're like, could you get me a part from inside the Fell Reaver? You're gonna have to kill him. And you're like, that guy? Like that guy that used to terrorize me? They're like, yeah, I think you could take him now. And that was such an exciting payoff to be able to like bring that full circle and go back and see him again.
For me, I snuck into beta. I got really lucky because I could see the construction sign for some of the zones, and of course I ignored it and went and explored. So I remember running through Blade's Edge and just seeing dragon carcasses and skeletons impaled in the environment, and then moving on to Netherstorm. I just was blown away, even from Zangermarsh all the way through. Everything felt like its own world, and just to be able to go through that and just the delight of it and the epicness of it. And then you come up to Area 52. That's what I love about WoW, is you can have epic storylines and still find lightness in it. So I just loved it. I love it. I'm an explorer, so.
You know, for me, I remember Burning Crusade really opened up a new gameplay type for me. I became a collector in Burning Crusade, right? And it kind of started with the Outdoor and Scryer rep. Because I got my outer rep all the way up, and then I was thinking about switching to Scryer, and people were like, "You're insane! Don't do that." And I was like, "I bet I can," just to prove people wrong. And I did, and it was cool. It was really fun. But then I started doing other things. Like there were all these new like mounts and pets, and I went back and even got some of the older reps like Thorium Brotherhood and Winterspring. But then like things like Netherwing Ledge came out. The world just opened up for me in Burning Crusade to really start my collection.
Of course, we also had Flying Mountain. else, which I loved, and then decided to play with some friends on a PvP server, and was running around Hellfire, and Death from Above, which is likely just Pat.
Probably.
Yeah.
Were you flying around harassing people, Pat?
I was getting a lot of honorable kills back in the day.
So that's just a quick look at some of our memories for Burning Crusade, and that was 13 years ago. So that code has been hanging around for 13 years. And we're not just doing a save as Burning Crusade Classic.
Oh no, it's a lot harder than that.
So let's get into some of those details.
So one of the challenges has been that we don't actually want to ship on the old code, and the reason for that is because it's got a lot of bugs and difficulties with the architecture that we don't want to have to deal with. But we do want that old data. And we talked about this when we did the original launch of Classic, was how the data is really the thing that describes how the game is supposed to be played and what things are supposed to happen in it. And so we want to bring that old data and we want to run it on the modern code, the same as we did for Classic. And there's like 750,000 rows of data that we have to go through and convert from their old formats to their new formats. And fortunately, we have really talented engineers, and we run automated scripts that go through this. But even after we've run these scripts, we have to compare them with, with how it used to behave and make sure that we've actually done the conversion correctly. And then there's even some things that are making it more difficult this time, like the fact that we've made a couple of minor changes or bug fixes in the Classic data. And we want to make sure that we keep those as we're going into Burning Crusade. So we have to merge those changes with the changes that happened with the Burning Crusade originally, and make sure that we have a coherent set of changes that make sense to bring us from Classic into the Burning Crusade.
There's an enormous amount of time spent looking at, okay, this is how it came out now. We have a reference client that is the original.
That's right. We do use the old code for that. So like we still have it. We just don't want to ship on that anymore. But we have like the old code with the old data, knows exactly how it's supposed to behave. So those things work together, and we can bring that up internally and take a look at it and say like, okay, this is how it was back then. This is exactly what it used to look like. And we do sometimes find things that are bugs we still want to fix, but a lot of times it will tell us like, oh, this thing is not a bug. This is actually the intended behavior, or this is something we don't really remember right. There's a tendency to want to chase your own memory, like, I remember it being like this, and it's like, no, it's not always exactly the way you remember it. Everybody has that kind of human failing, even us, and so a lot of times we'll have an argument about, I remember it this way. Well, I remember it this way. Let's go and check. We can look.
Well, another reason to ship on the new code is really just the years of stability improvements and the fact that the world didn't look the same back in 2007 as it does today. Like,
That's true.
There wasn't cloud architecture at that point. I remember I had the privilege of being on that live ops team where I got to see what all the servers looked like and how it was all architected. And to pull back the curtain on this a bit, the way it was is everything was its own like server, right? Like they didn't really talk to each other very well. So each realm had 11 blades on it. And these blades were just bare metal blades, and like one blade was for Azeroth, one blade was for Kalimdor, one was for Outland, and then we had some for instances. And back then what would happen without cloud is you would try to request resources, and maybe a lot of people were running dungeons. And so it would give you back things like transfer aborted, instance not found. Oh boy, like we don't want to go back to those days. So now we can take advantage of things like the cloud and not have those resource issues. So shipping on this new code is a big improvement in stability.
Yeah, and so we're weaving all these threads together. We did finally get a build for Burning Crusade Classic. Super excited. With the team gets together, we're preparing for a playtest, and we go to create our characters, and we see this blood elf who, he remembers the sun well. He forgot his pants.
Yeah?
So everything didn't work the first time?
What? I know.
Yeah, I did mention, like, we had to go through and check for problems in those conversion scripts. So, yeah, sure enough, what's going on here is that this guy thinks he's dressed, but he isn't. And you can see why he thinks he's dressed if you look down.
Does that happen to you a lot?
Only in my high school groups.
You can see, if you look at his calves, you can see that he's got they're flared out because he thinks he's wearing boots. And the way the system works is we first set the geometry up for all the items that you're supposed to be wearing, and then we layer on various images that we call textures, and we'd use those to build up a single composite texture that's then wrapped around the geometry. But of course, in this case, when we were layering them on, none of the textures were assigned, so it just started with his naked body, and then was going to go layer on textures and didn't find any. So it thinks he's dressed, and so it's removed the underwear because it thinks it's put clothes on top. but there aren't anything there. They're all just completely transparent. So it's almost like the Emperor's new clothes. He's wearing invisible clothes, only in this case, that's really what's happening.
It's crazy. And then, of course, I wanted to try Draenei because that's where my heart lies. I'm an Alliance girl. And this Draenei looks to be heads above the rest.
That's not the Exodar.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
It's Dunmorrow, right?
It is, and that's exactly the problem. It looks like the Draenei's too tall, but the real problem is that we're in the wrong place. And so, yeah, when you go to the Dunmorrow character select screen, of course, the camera is positioned for much shorter races like gnomes and dwarves, and so it's about knee high on a Draenei.
And then water. Really, Brian? We have water and Hellfire?
Yeah, so
Go for a swim.
it turns out that Outland has a funny, unique feature that it doesn't have any oceans because the water just all falls off the edges and goes out into space or something like that. I'm not sure how that works in the game universe. But,
magic.
But yeah, there's no ocean there. But we had accidentally flagged it to generate ocean, so we ended up flooding the entire world with an ocean until we found that and turned it back off.
So through all of these processes, yes, we're obviously we're fixing what is broken. But also we thought it was a good time to start enacting what we call #some changes to gameplay and how things should work.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like Classic, our guiding principle was no changes. The goal was to provide as true to life, authentic experience of Classic that we possibly could for the community, and we accomplished that. What was interesting to me is to see this vibrant community that embraced it and then said, hey, but we're not exactly the same as we were 15 years ago, right? And they're right. Like, the times have changed. The world has changed. And so some of those things that maybe were out there that were not great and were warts back in the day is not something that we would want to ship again. Like something that feels a little buggy or wrong or incorrect. So the idea behind this is let's provide what the Burning Crusade experience was without those warts.
And this really, I think, illustrates the difference is spell batching. We actually had a lot of requests originally for spell batching in that kind of no changes charge, where they said, hey, I remember when I used to be able to have two mages polymorph one another, and they would both end up polymorphed. And that's cute and fun, and I kind of like that. And so we said, okay, well, we can put that back in. But the system that causes that is, of course, that the spells are batched up and processed in these giant batches. But over the last 2 years, people realized that what that comes with is about a half a second of kind of built-in latency, where you push a button and it doesn't actually take effect for that half a second while it's waiting to queue up the other ones to go with it. And people were starting to find that frustrating. I talked to a lot of people who said they were excited about it when it first came out with Classic, but after they've been playing with it for 2 years, they're really ready to see it go, and we're ready to take it out too. So we're going to remove spell batching with Burning Crusade.
That's definitely great, because I remember like every 2 weeks I get a bug report, Vanish is broken again. And it was because of stuff like this, right? Like if you vanish at the same time a fireball's hitting you, it's going to pop you out, right?
Exactly.
Like, and so we were trying to do all these hacky solutions to it, but the real answer is just don't spell batch.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the ability to do that then, so glad we're doing it now.
Yeah.
Another one that I can think of is just how the raiding community has matured, right? Like things were very different back in 2004, 2005 timelines compared to today. So, the raiding community knows exactly what's going on, and they want a challenge. They want more of a challenge. So, rather than always giving them like the last version of the boss, the final form of the boss, which maybe is been hit with a few nerfs, let's not do that anymore. Let's give them a more challenging version of the boss. Like, I'll give you an example of like Muru. Right, where the initial version of that boss had a lot of spell pushback, and so like that made it really tough to bring casting classes to that fight. We did fix that pretty quickly and change the fight to allow for that. Now that's a change we probably would incorporate in this, right? Like we don't want people to feel excluded or not part of being able to do a fight like that. But then probably a month or so after that, we nerfed Mover's health. That doesn't need to happen. Let's just keep it in the hard form. We can evaluate any changes we need to make after that, but it won't just be like, hey, final form, we're not even going to look at it. Let's call it a day. So.
Yeah. So how did your mage handle the pushback?
I just
it feels personal. Yeah.
No, I was the raid leader, so I got to choose who went. But
the one mage allowed to go.
that was honestly, that's one of my favorite fights ever in World of Warcraft. That was a really, really fun fight.
That's awesome. Another change that we're talking about making is along the lines of the PvP balance and faction balance is obviously with Burning Crusade, paladins are introduced to the Horde and shamans are introduced to the Alliance, and that was intended to be a balancing of the factions and let's make them even. And then they wanted to kind of keep a little bit of flavor of that faction identity, so they kept Seal of Blood on the Horde and Seal of Vengeance on the Alliance. It was intended to be equivalent power abilities that were just slightly different in flavor, but in retrospect, Seal of Blood was just so much better. And so one of the changes that we are going to make is we are going to give the opposite faction's seal to the other faction, but we're going to do that at max level. So we keep just a little bit of that faction identity, where Horde will get Seal of Blood at level 64 on schedule, and then get Seal of Vengeance at level 70. And similarly, Alliance will get Seal of Vengeance at level 64, and then their equivalent, Seal of the Martyr, at level 70. Another thing we want to talk about is arena teams. When it first came out in Burning Crusade, the arena team system only let you have the same number of players on your team that was the size of the bracket it was for. So, for example, a 3v3 team could only have 3 players on the team. So if someone was like sick or unavailable one night, you couldn't play. And that felt really frustrating. So we're definitely going to go with like the last version of that, where you could have twice the size of the bracket on your team roster, so that you had alternates you could swap in and out. And then that way, as long as anybody had participated in, I think, 30% of the matches, then they got the full credit for the week of participation.
Is that when we did personal ratings versus team ratings?
I think that came later, and we're also considering whether or not we want to do something with that as well. Because another thing that was problematic about arenas was the way that the ELO system was so inflationary. And so we're talking about whether or not we want to move forward with converting that to something more like the modern MMR system, so that it isn't as punishing to people in terms of like waiting hours for a match at the highest levels and things like that.
And another change, we're going to give players access.
Okay, guys, so let's see what we got going on here. Whew. Sorry, I'm not ready to turn my camera back on yet. Oh, all right. So, sorry guys. I was using this lotion and this Kleenex for, I was trying to clean something. Shit, it's all sticky fucking down here. Anyways, let's talk about that presentation. Like, are you serious? Like, what do we got going on here? We got fucking... First things first, the thing that's on the screen. Burning Crusade Classic. We all knew it was coming. They put out a survey, I think half a year ago, asking players would they like it. Obviously, if all 12 million subscribers or whatever said no, they might have decided to axe the idea. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people said yes. Because with a lot of WoW players, they have their favorite expansion. A lot of people are BC fans. I'm a Wrath fan, and if that leak that came out, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I don't know. If that was true, we'll be seeing Wrath Classic in 2 years. So, crossing my fingers for that. But I will play this. I will for sure be playing this. Maybe I might actually decide to give it all that I got instead of giving up like I did in Classic, Classic I was really excited to play, but I think what made me give up was the slow grind. And I understand. A lot of people, there's some people who like that, but I gave up on it. I think part of it's because I didn't play vanilla. I started in BC, so, I didn't really feel that home, if that makes sense. I'll be honest, since I didn't play in vanilla, it would have been really nice to join a guild and do Molten Core and do like Naxxramas and Ankaraji, and I would have loved for the chance to get the legendary mount from the opening of the gates. But then I kind of thought to myself, like, you know what? Yes, it would be cool that if I got the mount on Classic, but I don't want the mount on Classic. I want the mount on my actual retail account. So, I gave up on Classic. But I'll be honest, I love Shadowlands. I've been playing the shit out of Shadowlands. I have not played this serious on an expansion since Cataclysm. And I'm looking forward to patch 9.1, which is something else we can talk about. We can talk about 9.1. We're going to look into the deep dive that is coming in like 10 minutes or something. But we already know the leak the other day wasn't really a leak. It was confirmation. It was on Blizzard's official forum site. So they posted it. So we have a new raid, Torghast raid. We have a new 8 boss mega mythic dungeon. I mean, I'm excited for those. That's what I'm excited for. Everyone's talking about flying, and don't get me wrong, flying, yeah, it's a niche thing. It's like, it's nice to get around, get some chests, get to the instance of the raid faster, hit a world quest before it expires. Like, it's nice, but is it really something we absolutely need? No. People are just attuned to it because, you know, back in the day, classic players, they didn't have the flying. And then they got the flying, but it was slow and it was only in certain zones. And people just kept asking for it back and asking for more options. And I think I think the WoW community is pretty much just spoiled brats now. Like, we have 20 different systems that let you get raid equivalent gear within a few hours of playing. Like, you get gear from your covenants, you get gear from your mission table, you get gear from Raid Finder, you get dungeons, mythics that you could now buy for people to run you through. Like, there's just so many different ways to get gear, and it's honestly kind of a joke. Like, that was the biggest thing I was excited about going back and playing Classic, was the fact that, you know, everybody and their brother has a full set of epics on. If you have one blue, you're terrible. Well, back in Classic, it was like a couple players on the server had an epic. And that is what I loved. I loved the rarity. I loved the fact that everybody was kind of forced to be down at the same level. And it was super, super RNG for someone to even be remotely over anyone else on the server. And that's kind of what I miss. I hate the fact that, you know, I can level my boomkin right now, go into a heroic raid even at a low eye level, and fucking pull more DPS than someone who's mythically geared. Like, class balance is definitely out of tune, out of whack. But yeah, raiding and features and systems like that have definitely gotten out of hand too. Like, it's easy. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's easy as in easy to get gear, because we have a drought right now in Shadowlands where you can run 6 dungeons and not get a piece of loot. But it is easy to get loot in general. So, I mean, I'm excited for 9.1. We're gonna listen more about that. What else did we have? Hearthstone, I'll be honest, I don't play the game. I know it's doing very well. I know a lot of people who do play it and who have fun playing it. And maybe someday I might give it another chance and try to get into it. But I'm not going to probably play it. Not for any time soon. Especially when Diablo 2 Resurrected comes out. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Diablo 4 too, don't get me wrong. You know, my Diablo experience started with Diablo 2. I played a little bit of it at a friend's house when I was super young, and then I just always had that, like, fondness of, man, that game was really cool. And then they finally decided, hey, we're gonna make Diablo 3, and I had a great time playing Diablo 3. Diablo 4 I'm definitely excited for, but I'm more excited about going back to Diablo 2. So I'll definitely be picking that up for the Xbox Series X, and we'll be playing that and streaming. So, StarCraft, Overwatch, don't play those games, so I'm not really that care. Heroes of the Storm, I didn't really hear much about, but I mean, I've played the game. It's just like any other game. even Overwatch. Like, I played beta for Overwatch, but I didn't really get too into it. But it's like any other game. Like, I'm sure everyone would go back and play Heroes of the Storm who don't play it currently, and they would have fun with it as long as they were doing good. That's the thing with any game. If you are doing good, you're feeling good about playing the game. So, I mean, I'm sure I could go back and play Heroes, get a couple kills, and be like, yeah, you fucking dog water piece of shit. Anyways, so yeah, so what do we got? We got Shadowlands 9.1, Burning Crusade Classic, Diablo 2 Resurrected, Diablo 4. Don't get me wrong, I will be probably picking up and playing the arcade collection that comes out. But yeah. I mean, I'm excited, guys. I am excited. So, we're about to have in like 2 minutes the Shadowlands deep dive. So, stay tuned. And then we will definitely be looking at the Diablo deep dive. I believe I have the schedule right here. Somewhere. Okay, so we got the Shadowlands update at 6:35. So that's in 1 minute. And then we have Diablo What's Next at 6:35 too. A rebroadcast, because they did What's Next at 6:05, and they're rebroadcasting it again at 6:35. So I'll have to keep changing back and back to see. Diablo Developer Roundtable at 6:45. And then there's stuff about voice actors and mounts for WoW later on. A Diablo deep dive at 7:40. And then tomorrow, a WoW Q&A at 3 o'clock. That's definitely something I'm excited about. And then we have a lot of artwork stuff, voice acting, sound creation, and stuff like that tomorrow. So let's see. So yeah, the Shadowlands update, that's gonna be now. Technically, I guess we don't need to watch the Diablo What's Next because we have a deep dive later that we can watch. So I might stick to WoW for this watch party. Oh, here it is. So we're turning it back up.
Hey everybody. So excited to be here with all of you to celebrate 30 years of epic entertainment experiences from Blizzard. And of course, out of all of those, the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart is the World of Warcraft expansion, Shadowlands. And that's what we're here today to talk about. The development experience for Shadowlands over the course of last year was unforgettable for all sorts of reasons. But it's also something that really has taught the team, taught all of us, a lot of lessons about World
Not gonna
of
lie,
Warcraft
this
and how
guy's
we
got
can
some
make
creepy
the game
eyes,
better
but
for all of you going forward. Because
we can turn
Shadowlands
that
wasn't
down,
just
turn
the
this-
product of our development team's
turn
efforts
this
last
down.
year. It was the product
All
of your
right.
efforts as well. It was the product of a conversation between us, the development team, and all of you, the players, the community who inhabit this world that we're the custodians of. The beta for Shadowlands started earlier than any beta for a past expansion that I can recall. And over the course of last year, we had tons of folks in our beta giving us feedback, reporting bugs. But we also
Okay,
had
so
more
we're gonna
people
watch Shadowlands?
just in the community in general, following developments, following updates, watching YouTube videos, chiming in on Reddit threads, on our forums, on social media, everywhere else, letting us know what was exciting, what was concerning, what you didn't understand,
Like
what
I
you
said,
were
this
worried
guy's
about,
got
what you were
creepy
happy
eyes.
about, and more. And all of that helped shape Shadowlands, and I could not be more proud of where we ended up. And it's been amazing seeing everyone jumping into this new world that we've crafted together and having an amazing time over the last couple of months. That's a conversation, that's a process that I would like to carry forward into 2021 and for that to be a baseline for how we build World of Warcraft going forward. So as we're here today talking about the next major update, what you're going to hear about shortly is where we're headed in terms of the world, in terms of the story, in terms of these epic characters we've just been introduced to, major villains like the Jailer and Sylvanas, and what's up with Anduin anyway. But we're going to talk a bit less, however, about systems. We have tons to share there, but
okay, I wanted to make sure that my microphone was hearable.
Is, of course, by first seeing how they're playing out in your hands. We couldn't really plan what we were going to do with legendaries or where Torghast was going to go or what was going to change about soulbinds without having the experience of millions of players dealing with those systems and letting us know what you think. And so I am pleased and excited to say that when we look at our systems, unlike in some past expansions at this point, we're not seeing anything that needs to be completely overhauled or replaced. What we see are solid foundations that are in many cases in need of iteration, and upon which we can build a structure that will sustain us throughout the entirety of Shadowlands to come. So that's a conversation that's going to come when our public test realm goes live, and we'll have lots more information to share with you there. Now, what we are going to talk about, and boy do we have a lot of exciting stuff for you, is the first major content update for Shadowlands. Let me turn it over to my colleague, Jeremy Fiesel, who can tell you all about it.
Okay, just before we get deep into this, yes, guys, we are going to have a Torghast raid, which means more time that we're going to have to spend into the Maw. And for those of you that don't know, the reputation you're getting in the Maw with Venari, once you get to Appreciative, which I think is their version of Exalted, you can spend Stygia, you know, that shit you get from killing stuff in the Maw. You can actually spend it on items that will put sockets into a lot of your gear. As of right now, this is the only way to put sockets into any gear that you have in Shadowlands. Kind of like, you know, it's a little whacked off, kind of like the fact that we don't have helm, shoulders, or pants enchantments. And some of the enchants, we only have like 2 enchants for like everything else, and they're weird, like reduces your cooldown on your Hearthstone, increases gathering, reduces fall damage. Like they're not actual primary stat enchants, so it's a little weird. So, but anyways, back to what I was saying. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, there's sockets in the Maw. And yes, I understand. Why should I put sockets into my heroic mythic Nathria gear when we're going to go into a new raid, so I'll be replacing the gear? That is true. You know, if you don't want to, you don't have to. If you don't like spending time in the Maw, whatever. I personally don't mind the Maw. I don't think it's literally as terrible as people are making it out to be. People are making it out to be like this tragic 9/11 event, or like getting ass raped by prison inmates. Like, it's not that bad. Like, yes, you can't mount unless you have a mount. Whoopee-doo. That's taking you back to the classic boots on the ground feel. Like, kind of deal with it. And then, yes, the Eye of the Jailer is kind of annoying. It is, especially all the little things you have for each tier. But I mean, I like the system. Like the way they're doing, like the way they created the system was something that gives you a classic feel, and it's not just breeze through. It's, you actually have to be strategic about what you're doing and how you're doing it. I applaud them for that. And let's just say the concept of them all, like the theme, the thematic theme, whatever, is fantastic. The Maw, like, it physically looks fucking badass, and I love that. I love the skeletons and the fucking empty armor people and like the chains, and yeah, I have some kink issues I need to work on, but anyways, we'll be going back to the Maw for sure. And for those of you that hate it, I'm sorry, but I can see them 9.1, 9.2, 9.3 all through this expansion. They're going to keep giving us reasons to go back. They're not going to just say, hey, go do this for the first month of the expansion and never go there again. I don't see that happening. But anyways, while we're on the subject of the maw, if you guys want to try something to replace those sugary energy drinks or even sugar in the pop that you drink, try Maw Energy. You know, it's just like Crystal Light or anything else that's a powder form. You just put a little bit in a bottle of water, a glass of water, a shaker cup, and you just shake it or mix it for like a minute or two and drink away. You control on how much caffeine you put in it. One scoop of this stuff is 140 milligrams of caffeine, which is a normal energy drink. I say normal. Now, Monster, Red Bull, they're all coming out with these special high performance 300 milligrams. Some are like 280. So, I mean, if you put 2 scoops, bam, high performance. I'll admit it, this stuff works. I freaking love this stuff. I still may get a drink if I'm out on a road trip and have to stop at a gas station or something, but for my gaming needs and my work from home needs, this stuff works. And we have Mythic Melon and Rest in Peace Harambe, my 2 favorite flavors, but they also have 3 other flavors you can choose from. So, if you click my link down below on my Twitch channel, you can actually use the link and make a purchase, and that will actually take part of the proceeds and donate it to the stream to help keep the stream alive. If you use code MAW10, you get 10% off. And I didn't tell you guys the best part yet. The first tub you get is actually free. You pay the $6.99 shipping, but you get this $34.95 tub for free for the first one. If you have to put your card in because it's a subscription-based model, but you can cancel it after you get your free tub, and then you never have to do it again. If you keep the subscription, they go down to $24.50, I believe, for a tub. Or if you're just going to buy them once in a great while, they're $34.95. So, I mean, I recommend it. You know, it definitely saves you money in the long run, too. So you don't have to keep going to the gas station. So, Maw Energy, the link's down below. Please, it would support my stream, help me be able to do things like giveaways, upgrades, gaming stuff, like anything at all. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Dude, Anduin's a freaking Death Knight now? What the fuck is this shit? I'm not gonna lie. This is how I wanted my transmog to look when I made my character. Like, I wanted the gray hair. I wanted, like, the skeletal Lich King type armor. I wanted the glowy blue stuff all over it. And I was gonna be a Frost Death Knight. Yeah, well, things changed. I'm unholy now. Death to be shamed. Woo!
There's a lot to unpack there, but as you can imagine, we're not going to take a strike like that sitting down. We're going to call in the forces of all 4 of the Shadowlands Covenants. For the first time in years, they will all come together, now reinvigorated by anima and by our actions within the Shadowlands, to take the fight directly to the jailer. Within the Maw, we will uncover brand new, never-before-seen areas. We'll also be fighting off some new and never-before-seen enemies, of course, and naturally be uncovering some brand new Maw-themed rewards while we're at it. Our return to the Maw includes not only a chance for us to push back against the dark designs of the jailer in areas that previously were very forbidding for us, where we really weren't able to spend very much time there. Having a secure, solid foothold with all 4 covenants allows us to push back against that oppressive force. We'll be able to stop the Eye of the Jailer in its tracks, exploring areas that we were unable to explore before. and our mounts will once again even hear our call within the Maw. The Maw will not only include some areas that we have seen previously, now with our new allies of the Covenants changing things up there, but also some never-before-seen sections. Let's talk for a second about the largest of those sections. So in the finale of that cinematic, you saw that the jailer had sent his chains off out of the Maw and into the darkness. What he found there, that landmass shown there at the very end of that cinematic, is a landmass known as Korthia, and it makes up the largest new section of the Maw. Korthia is an ancient space.
I want
that
all
was
three of
lost in
those
the
as
in-between.
mounts.
It has its own strange creatures and wildlife that inhabit it, but it's also inhabited by some of the characters that we've previously seen in Oribos, including the Attendants and the Protectors, and some of their city structures. And very similar to Oribos, it is filled with mysteries, the likes of which the Shadowlands has yet to uncover. It is these ancient mysteries that the jailer is truly after, the secrets of this strange group that we've only barely hinted at, known as the First Ones. Heading back into this area will allow us to explore all of these new sections, entertain new content, meet new allies, and face off against new foes. And in addition, we will also see some brand new rewards. Some of the new rewards we'll find within the Maw include this Maw-themed undead horse, and a Maw hand mount that is actually a giant severed hand of domination that you'll ride on the wrist section of in a really creepy and cool manner. And of course, there will be Maw-themed battle pets to collect as well, including your very own minion of domination. But our true purpose within the Maw is not just to collect battle pets. That's just a part of it. The true purpose of bringing all four of the Covenants together within the Maw, of course, is to be taking the attack directly to the jailer's doorstep. The central area where the jailer has holed up with all of his main minions is going to be our focus here, as we raid the Sanctum of Domination.
New raid! We already knew about it.
Will be a 10-boss raid, and you'll finally be able to face off against the terrible Terror Group that I'm sure has kicked you out of Torghast more times than you want to mention at this point. You'll be able to take all of your allies and take the fight directly back to it. We'll also be facing off against the creature that is the actual eye of the jailer and figure out really what is the jailer's eye here. Those of you that were fans of the lore of the Titan Keeper Odin might have some interest in that particular fight. The jailer's inner sanctum, naturally, is a place where some of the worst souls were sent for the jailer's personal torment. And we'll be seeing some of those souls here as well. Really looking forward to hearing who you think will show up in the jailer's personal torment sanctum. Of course, any raid that features minions, servants, and soldiers of the cold dark like this one is going to have to feature our old nemesis, Kel'Thuzad. And finally, the culmination of the raid. At long last, we will be taking the fight directly to Sylvanas Windrunner, the Banshee Queen herself. The finale of this fight is going to change the future of the Shadowlands, but we're not going to spoil that for you today. However, can't wait for you to see what happens at the end. But the Sanctum of Domination is not the only sanctum of the jailer. We'll be seeing additional updates to Torghast, the Tower of the Damned, including the unlocking of brand new, never-before-seen wings. These wings have a brand new art kit, as well as new floors and new floor layouts, and should feel like something you haven't seen in Torghast up until now. You'll be facing off against brand new foes with dastardly ways in order to stop your ascent, new traps to trip you up, and of course, to help us fight against all of these dastardly minions of the jailer, brand new game-changing powers will be available as well. Moving on to additional updates within Chains of Domination, fans of the Operation Mechagon Mega Dungeon from our previous patches will be happy to learn that we are once again bringing back the concept of the Mega Dungeon. A Mega Dungeon is an 8-boss dungeon, epic in scale, and always has some unique and interesting loot that you can't find anywhere else. The Mega Dungeon for Chains of Domination is going to be focused around the enigmatic traders that we first met in Oribos, the brokers. The Broker Mega Dungeon is a large broker trading city with portals, an auction house, and various different broker cartels that have made it their home. We're going to be learning more about broker culture and meeting some new and different kinds of brokers that we haven't seen up until now. This is an 8-boss dungeon, and in Chains of Domination will be available as Mythic only for now. Within the Broker Mega Dungeon, we will be facing off against brand new broker cartel members, including dastardly broker assassins and 4-armed broker guards. The second half of the dungeon, as we start to exit the broker trading city, will feature a heist section, as we chase a broker that has stolen an artifact and plans to use it for his own purposes. As we chase this broker through the heist section, he'll take us through a number of different portals that take us to a lot of different, very varied locations where we fight a number of different bosses. One of these fights, of course, is against none other than an infinite pirate dragon. I trust that needs no explanation, so let's move on to the rewards. The rewards of this Mega Dungeon include things that we will only see within broker culture, some very special broker pets, including a broker-themed cat. We can capture some of the rats that scurry around within the broker trading city, and we'll get to see one of the pets that the brokers actually use as a currency, these strange worms that they found on another world and have scintillating eyes that are gem-like. It's sort of like a living sign of your wealth for the high ends of the broker cartels. You might be able to purchase one of those within the dungeon or fight an enemy in order to obtain one of them. And we'll be able to obtain the broker's special and interesting disc mount, which they fly around their trading city with. In addition, there's going to be a dazzling array of different weaponry for you to collect as well. Now let's move on to updates to some of our Covenant systems. We've been fighting hard to gain renown
I'm
with
excited
our covenants,
for new weapon
gain soulbinds and additional conduits.
models.
We'll be expanding upon a lot of these systems. Some of the ideas that we're thinking about include adding additional conduits, different conduit types, and expanding the soulbind system. Our general goal here is to give you more options in terms of how you specialize your character within your covenant and how you gain additional power levels. We're very early on in the ideation phase here, and we'd love to hear from you if you want to take to the forums and tell us how you would like to see your power grow within your covenant. Patch 9.1 also brings with it flying, something that we mentioned a while back, and we're sticking to it. There's no rep grind associated with flying. You simply just need to continue completing activities for your covenant, and your covenant story chapters will unlock flying for you automatically. But we're not simply going to be unlocking flying in Chains of Domination. No, we want to do everything heavily covenant themed because it's all about working for your covenants. So completing the flying will also unlock a new specialized flying mount specific to your covenant. For the Kyrians, activating Anima to the Eternal Forge has allowed your stewards to once again produce this powerful flying centurion that hasn't been seen in ages.
Ooh.
For the Night Fae, activating wild seeds with Anima that were thought lost to the drought will reawaken our powerful ally,
Fox
in the Wolf
serpents?
Serpent.
What?
For the Maldraxians, the Necrolords naturally go to their natural environment.
Give us something cool.
Throw a saddle on one of the giant corpse flies buzzing around their backyard and send that on into combat. There's one thing that you do know, they're not going to be afraid of the stench of death. And for the Venthyr, activating Anima within Revendreth has allowed us to empower these Stoneborn brutes, giving us Anima-infused Stoneborn allies as our brand new
Fucking Venthyr gets
But that's
gargoyles.
Continuing to advance your covenant and your renown will also unlock a set of
I
cosmetic
get a
armor.
fucking bug.
Cosmetic armor sets can be worn by any armor type, from cloth to plate, and they can be mixed and matched with any of your transmog outfits if you want to take just pieces of them, producing a variety of different unique outfit possibilities. The cosmetic armor set for the Kyrian is stylized after a Kyrian courier who might be rushing across the fields of Bastion with a missive. It's very lightweight, it's very airy. For the Night Fae, your cosmetic outfit will be themed around the Forest Defenders and includes many natural wildlife elements, including the horns of the Great Stag and the leaves of the various flora around Ardenweald. As you can see, the colors here are actually themed after the seasons as well. For the Necrolords, we went all the way back to the Warcraft 3 initial idea of the Necromancer in this classically inspired Necromancer set, updated with Necrolord colors. Everybody who's a
Fuck you
Necrolord
for
will
saying
finally
that,
get
though.
to also have a little bit of Necromancer in them as well. And finally, for the Venthyr, no Venthyr transmog set would truly be complete without a set of finery, just waiting for the next Venthyr fancy party to break out. Venthyr players will be able to obtain these fancy outfits for whenever you need to head off to a ball. Chains of Domination will also herald the beginning of Shadowlands Season 2, where we will be seeing the addition of a brand new Domination-themed affix for Mythic Plus, an item level increase across the board in terms of available item levels that you can pick up by doing just about anything in the Shadowlands. We'll also be seeing the beginning of PvP Season 2, and something special in this PvP season that we're looking for is an Honor Talent refresh. The idea here is to take a look at some of our unused or underutilized Honor Talents and freshen them up a bit, change things around in terms of the PvP metagame. We'll also be seeing the introduction of seasonal rewards. These include both brand new colors of the Gladiator and Mythic Plus achievement mounts, as well as our new Vicious mounts. In this case, the Vicious mount is the Gorm. The Gorm was already pretty vicious, so slapping a couple of pieces of armor on that and sending them out into combat was a natural thing for the forces of the Alliance and Horde to do. Alright, let's take a second to recap everything coming at you in Chains of Domination. First, we've got some major story quests, including a lot of the main characters of the Shadowlands that are centered most specifically around the designs and plans of the Jailer and his attacks on our allies in our covenants. We will be taking revenge by taking the fight directly to the Jailer in the Maw and forming a permanent presence there with all 4 covenants. We'll be exploring some never-before-seen sections of the Maw, including this new area known as Korthia and its various mysteries. We will be taking the fight directly to the Jailer himself in the Sanctum of Domination raid, which has the final boss as Sylvanas Windrunner. And we'll be making updates to Torghast, including some never-before-seen wings, floors, creatures, and powers. We'll be introducing a new mega dungeon themed around the brokers as a floating broker trading city with new bosses to fight there and some very unique loot to obtain. We're going to be expanding upon the conduits and soulbind systems and adding additional choice and power to your presence within your covenant. And alongside that, we'll be seeing some brand new Covenant rewards, including Covenant-themed flying mounts and Covenant-themed cosmetic armor sets, both of which will be available in a variety of different colors to collect. And finally, we'll be seeing the launch of Shadowlands Season 2 and everything that entails. Thanks everybody for checking out our Shadowlands update. We've got a lot of really cool stories to tell still here in the Shadowlands, and we can't wait to get this content into your hands. From everybody on the World of Warcraft team, we hope you enjoy Chains of Domination, and we'll see you in the Shadowlands.
Ta-da! All right. We're gonna go up into YouTube. We are going to look up fucking Diablo. I see some Season 2 map update stuff for Warzone. Do we just have a normal Diablo? Yes, we do. Ooh. Would it be videos? Oh yeah, here it is. Diablo 4, what's next? I understand.
Ever since we announced Diablo 4 at last BlizzCon 2019, we've been sharing updates with you guys through our blog, whether it's items, skills, zones, even user interface updates, and you guys seem to have really enjoyed that. Today, to mark the special occasion of BlizzConline on Blizzard's 30th anniversary, rather than doing a blog, we're actually going to share lots of video, introduce a new class like we saw in opening ceremonies, and also cover some open world topics, including mounts, camps, and PvP.
Yeah, this is like the ultimate blog post, right? We get to actually hand deliver it. This is the dream. It's all finally out there, and we can talk about all of it.
Just in case some of you guys missed it during opening ceremony, let's take another look at the Rogue Announce video.
There is justice within the light, but you have to be patient. Now, pray with me. May Akarat guide and protect me.
May Akarat guide and protect me.
May he shepherd my soul
May he shepherd my soul
and grant it mercy.
And granted mercy.
What are you doing here? This is not the time.
But this is confession. And I have sinned. I was a thief who stole from those more fortunate. I strayed from your light and found my trade in the shadows. They call it murder. I say, job well done. I am a thief, a heretic, a murderer, Father. Will Akarat save me?
You mock our light. But those monsters were a scourge upon my flock. And you... oh, you were the answer to their prayers.
Then we are settled, and you owe me.
The name you seek is... thank the heavens for you.
Heavens? I assure you, Father, the heavens didn't send me.
Wow, I love that ending. There's two things. There's the rain of arrows off the mount for the win, and then when that guy takes the ear and he stretches it onto that hook right at the end, it's like, oh.
That ear box never gets old. You know, I always wonder where all those ears from Diablo 2 when you kill other players went.
Now you know there's some creepy guy in a church collecting ears and putting them in a box. Just what we always thought.
No spoilers, but we're going to be hearing a little bit more about World PvP a little bit later in the segment, but ears are definitely making a comeback. But let's go back to the class, because there's just nothing more exciting to be able to introduce to a Diablo game than another class for players to check out.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool thing. We don't get to do this very often, right?
I think it was you that said that, John. There's always room around the campfire.
There's always a little room.
We had kind of like very core archetypes to begin with. The brute strength of the barbarian, the arcane knowledge of the sorceress, kind of a return of a shape-shifting classic with the druid. No RPG lineup is complete without that dexterity class that's kind of like defeating enemies with finesse, with speed. And we kept coming back to just the idea of bringing it to the kind of the godfather of all dexterity-based archetypes, the rogue that we saw in Diablo 1.
I mean, you got to be excited to have the rogue back. I mean, I know that like when we were exploring different classes, like you had talked about some of your experience with Diablo 1, right?
Oh, for sure. So one of the things that's super cool is like the rogue was always able to adapt their play styles. So fans of Diablo 1, Diablo 2 rogues will be able to create very archetypical rogues, starting with the weapon selection. On the melee weapon side, rogues can use swords and daggers, as well as bows and crossbows on the ranged side.
You know, just those sort of dagger attacks mixed with bow attacks, it's like, it just looks great on screen. With all the classes having this real strong identity as far as the animations and what they do, you think about the druid and shapeshifting, or the barbarian with sort of, you know, his leap attacks. There's just all these great things that you discover with the rogue that you can't really do with other classes.
I love that you can start cosmetically from such a iconic place where you're wearing the red armor, you kind of look like part of the sisterhood of the Sightless Eye from the original games. You know, you can maybe even add some tattoos into the mix, some scars, make that rogue your own. Or if your fantasy of the rogue is a more traditional RPG outlaw, you're definitely able to create that and put on your kind of hood and half mask and be more of a shadowy character.
Yeah, and the character customization, you kind of mentioned it, being able to craft that, you know, that the class of your dreams or your nightmares. It was a feature that I was honestly super nervous about when we started, because we never had this in a Diablo game. But seeing where it is now, it's one of those things that like I'm super excited about with where we're at. There's just a lot of creativity and fun looks, and you can be that you know, tattooed criminal outlaw, or you can be a more noble looking kind of, you know, sort of like thief with good morals.
Well, one of the things that we kind of kept running with beyond just the cosmetics was customization. We had this niche to fill in the class lineup that spoke to the finesse player, to the dexterity player, and just that everyone's idea of what that could be was a little bit different, whether it leaned more on range or melee. But we took that a little bit of a step further. We really wanted to have each class in our game have that one thing that makes you go like, that's bullshit when you see a player use it, and then makes you want to re-roll that class because no other class gets it. For the rogue, it's the class specialization. The 3 specializations are combo points, Shadow Realm, and exploit weakness.
I like Shadow Realm because I take the problem and I make it smaller. I mean, it's just, I just pull 3 guys into the Shadow Realm and duke it out, and then I come back in, I'm like, all right, smaller problem.
I love the idea of exploit weakness. The way it works is during some of the enemy attacks, players will see an icon flash over the enemy's head, during which time they will get to retaliate with much more damage than an ordinary attack. If you're quick on the draw, this is the specialization for you. I'm just like a little bit skill capped there, and you know, like every time I try to make it work, I'm just a little bit shy of the skill level that's required for that.
It's almost like you're a surgeon. And it requires a really strong ability to assess what's happening all around you.
My personal favorite is the combo point specialization. As you might expect, this ability lets you build multiple combo points, which enhance your spender's effectiveness in combat. It basically, you just like get into this rhythm of combat of like 3 builders to a spender, lets you build up to these big moments. It almost makes like a rhythm game out of combat, which I really enjoy. And the way the class specializations work is you will work with one of the world groups of rogues around the world in Sanctuary that you will find and do class-specific quests that no other class can do. Whether it's the Sisterhood of the Sightless Eye, the remnants of that order that you choose to work with, or the mercenaries of Kyrgyzstan, or the outlaw smugglers of the swamps of Hawazar, depending maybe on what speaks to your class fantasy, or depending on which specialization speaks to you or you find more powerful, you'll be able to complete that quest line and then activate that specialization, which then you can mix and match with any of the playstyles. So you could be a combo points, ranged, or melee player, but you could also be an exploit weakness, range, or melee, or hybrid player. It just gives the class such huge variety in builds and playstyles.
I love how that ties into the open world aspect. The ability to go to Kyrgyzstan or Hawazar and get these special quests that only the rogue can get. That touches on one of the things that I love that we've done, which is like connecting the weapons and equipment to regions. When you're exploring the world and you pick up a sword in Kyrgyzstan, it's a scimitar, right? If you're up in Skazglan, which is up in the north, it's more of like a broadsword. It's this sort of like this. It's a subtle thing, but I think it really, different armors that you get in different regions look like they're from the place, and so giving that sense of place in the world is something that I every time I play the game, I feel it, I see it in just like subtle ways, and just really enhances the overall sense of immersion and experience. And I just want to see what's around the corner.
The weapons are also like going back all the way to Diablo 2, just such an entire
you get in different regions,
huge variety in builds and playstyles.
I love how that ties into the open world aspect. The ability to go to Kyrgyzstan or Hawazar and get these
I didn't know what was
quests
going
that
on.
the rogue can get. That touches on one of the things that I love that we've done, which is like connecting the weapons and equipment to regions. When you're exploring the world and you pick up a sword in Kyrgyzstan, it's a scimitar, right? If you're up in Skazglan, which is up in the north, it's more of like a broadsword. It's this sort of like this. It's a subtle thing, but I think it really, different armors that you get in different regions look like they're from the place, and so giving that sense of place in the world is something that I every time I play the game, I feel it, I see it in just like subtle ways, and just really enhances the overall sense of immersion and experience. And I just want to see what's around the corner.
The weapons are also like going back all the way to Diablo 2, just such an integral part of the class, and the ability to augment your weapon through magic, through enhancements, it's just something that really spoke to us when we try to tap into the core of the class. Going back to those mercenaries that you could hire, it was always kind of cool to see what kind of special arrow shot they would come with, and it's something we paid homage to with the imbue system. All the way from directly elemental imbues like the frost imbue, which feels a lot like the ice arrows that the D2 mercenaries used to shoot, all the way to we expanded it to feel a little grittier, a little darker, into things like poison imbue and shadow imbue. Just the ability to take any sort of attack and kind of mix and match with those imbues.
Once that kind of clicked for me, that I could take any ability and imbue it with either of those elements. Rain of Arrows with frost and Rain of Arrows with acid is completely different, right? Like you're essentially freezing the battlefield, and then I just love poison imbue because of the gruesome deaths that all the monsters experience. And we've had a ton of fun making that art, so it's always fun to kind of see just a field of goatmen melt into nothing. You just kill everything on the screen in a gory mess, which I never really gets old.
It's a really flexible way to take a build that you're already comfortable with, that you already like. Say you're really comfortable with Flurry and Shadow Step as kind of your melee skills, and you find yourself needing more crowd control. Without changing your playstyle, you can just add the Frost Imbue to your bar, and now you're able to use those same abilities to slow down enemies or build up to a full freeze.
Yeah, and Frost Imbue plays pretty well with group play as well, right? Where I can freeze an enemy and somebody else can blow it up.
Or also the way that chills work in the game, they build up to a full freeze. So if your best buddy is a sorceress player, your chill spells and your Frost Imbue chills will actually build up faster than if you were using a single player. So just ask to open with Blizzard before you Frost Imbue, and you'll basically be freezing enemies twice as fast, which is super awesome synergy. So the last thing that's worth spending some time talking about the Rogue is like how mobile the class is, just how able the class is to kind of close the gap between themselves and the enemy. Even while they're mounted, you might find yourself, a full screen away and just dismounting into a rain of arrows, closing the rest of that gap with maybe like a dash, and then getting back out of there, dropping some caltrops, they can basically control the fluid motion of combat in a way that no other class can. That's something that beyond all of the other customization options that you have, whether it's the playstyle, whether it's the range at which you engage with enemies, whether it's the cosmetics, just the sheer mobility of the class lets you just adapt to the situations. Even when you would have totally been toast as another class, a room full of elites, you're able to use offensive abilities in creative ways. Abilities like shadow step, right? Like abilities like Shadow Realm, abilities like dash. So you're able to kind of like use them to your advantage in a way that gets you out of a very dangerous situation by picking that one lone skeleton archer that maybe is not surrounded by everything else. You can shadow step there, get out of the way, and live to fight another day, which just feels like such a rogue thing to do.
When I play the rogue, I really do feel like surgical precision. I really feel like I can move through the whole screen without. It feels kind of effortless, and almost sometimes a little unfair. It's like when I go into Shadow Realm and I'm dashing. I'm like, am I cheating? Did I just break the game?
And we'll hear more about PvP in a little bit, but I just couldn't go without mentioning that some of our most feared PvP players on the team play rogue, and just the way they're able to surprise you with a group of friends, and just that mobility lets them go to the middle of the group, unleash a rain of arrows that's frost imbued, and before you know it, you're all frozen. And looking at a rogue while you're frozen, let me tell you, there are fewer scarier things in our game right now than that.
So Luis, this was this was like the ultimate blog post. This has been a lot of fun getting to share a new addition to the campfire. And of course, there's probably going to be more in the future, right? We always say there's a little bit more room around that campfire.
That's right. And that pretty much wraps it up for the Rogue. So why don't we go to Joe and Karina and learn a little bit more about those open world features that we promised.
Well, thank you to Luis and John for introducing the Rogue, which I'm really excited that we finally got a chance to talk about and announce to the community. And we're here today to talk to you about Diablo 4 and the open world. Now, I think maybe the best way to start this conversation, Karina, would be just for me to ask you, what are you?
Okay, guys,
most
I
excited
think
about when we're adding in Diablo 4 for the open
we
world?
will definitely be live
What do you
tomorrow for the Q&As, but you can go to a lot of other places like MMO Champion or just YouTube or Twitch or any places at all to find the information from tonight. I was mainly here for the announcements and the dive into patch 9.1. I do care about Diablo 4 and I care about Diablo 2, but I will definitely look that information up a little bit later.
Diablo 2,